Welcome to episode 16 of StripJourney. We're in the new year, so we come with new topics and new guests. And this time we're going again to Amsterdam. And we have a very special guest with a very special topic that I've heard a lot of people want to know more about. So today I'm going to welcome Alina. Hi, Alina.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me.
So good to have you. Can you give a quick introduction about yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm originally from a Siberian town. It's called Tomsk in Russia. And currently I'm living in Amsterdam. I'm also a software engineer. And more specifically, I do software engineering and software infrastructure. But also I'm a FrameUp dancer and choreographer. So I'm like trying to combine those two big passions in my life.
Nice. That sounds really interesting. How long have you been dancing? How did you get into FrameUp?
So I got into ballroom dance when I was 7 and I dedicated like 6 years of my life to it. And then it was a time when both me and my partner, we decided to quit it. And after that, I had quite a large break around maybe 3 years when I didn't dance at all. But then I decided that I definitely missing something in my life, something important. And then I returned to dancing. And that time I stepped into jazz funk, hip hop, and modern dance. And then, like, year after year, I was trying to find the style that would be, like, truly close to my heart. And then during coronavirus, I found FrameUp.
Nice. So you started FrameUp online mostly then?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting case because I was studying in St. Petersburg when coronavirus hit. And then I decided to go back to my hometown, to Tomsk. And back in that time, dancing the jazz funk and hip hop mostly. And when I returned to my hometown, I was searching like what I could dance. But at some point, I came across Instagram of one girl. Her name is Veronika Mishina, and she was dancing FrameUp. Back in time, I didn't know what FrameUp is. I didn't know about the style at all, but I just loved how she did this. And I decided like, whoa, I want to go learn from her. Like, sounds exciting. And after the very first class, I bought my first pair of secondhand strip shoes. And then it kind of began. Everything like was so fast because I immediately fell in love. And since that time, I mostly dance FrameUp.
Nice. And today we wanted to talk about some topic that's very dear to you. And this is why I wanted to have you today. I want to talk more about improvisation and battles. And you're kind of the expert of that. And I wanted to pick your brain a little bit on that. How did you even get into improvisations per se?
Yeah, it's indeed it's my favorite topic, the thing that I enjoy the most in dancing. And I would say that the first seeds was on during the time that I attended the hip hop classes. And it mostly was about the teachers, how they construct the dance class itself, because usually I left quite a big room for improvisation. They also some sort of changed the musicality during the class, and I got quite inspired on this. I was like, whoa, you can do it like this. So I got interested. But the actual inspiration, I would say, came when I went back to my hometown because my first frame up teacher herself, she's, in my opinion, iconic in battles. I admire how she does it, and she kind of also put this passion into her classes, her attitude, and I think during her classes, I actually got very into this. And during the last couple of years, I was trying different directions like choreography, maybe more into theatrical performances, more into the improvisation. And after all, like after listening to myself, I kind of realized that my heart truly belongs to freestyle in dancing.
Nice. And you mentioned battles. How about that? How did you get into that?
Oh, that was quite scary for me. And since here, FrameUp is only starting to grow with the community, with styles, it's not yet that popular as back home. It's not a lot of battle events specifically on hills. And when I was sitting and checking where I could go, I barely could find something related to open style, to all styles battles, because usually they are very targeted on specific styles. So, for example, breaking battle or hip hop battle. And of course, it would be a bit weird to go with strip shoes to this kind of battles because, well, those styles have their own technique, their own musicality. They maybe value different things. So I was looking specifically for the open style ones. And it was quite funny because I literally was finding battles a couple of days before the event. So mostly it was unplanned. And the very first battle that I get into, I didn't even plan to take part in because initially I thought that this battle gonna be outside one on the grass field, and yeah, you can imagine like me walking on those hills on the grass, probably not the most pleasant experience. But as far as I recall, I was going from some other events, so I had my shoes with me, and I was just coming there to cheer for my friend. But then I realized that because of rain, like thanks to the Dutch weather, the battles were moved to the inside room, and they had quite a nice floor. So he encouraged me to take part as well. And I was so uncomfortable on the first battle because it was completely not my community. And all those amazing dancers who were getting warm, like preparing themselves, and me staying like somewhere in the corner, putting on my heels. And I saw those looks like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is she doing this? And I felt like really uncomfortable. But then I decided that, well, I'm already here. What I'm losing. So it's basically no point of stepping back. So I entered the pre-selection round. At that battle, I didn't pass the pre-selection round, but I have a rule. Like at every battle, I ask judges for the feedback because it's very interesting to see what each of them is looking for, what strong and weak sides they see. But after that battle, I asked judges like what they think about my performance, and I got very inspired by those words, especially words from one of the judges, because he said that it's something new, like something they were waiting for a long time, something fresh, something that they haven't seen before. Of course, he gave me some advices of what could be improved, and they were, in my opinion, completely valid. But also, he said that I should actually keep going. I should push and do what I do, and it's definitely something that is interesting to watch. And at that point, I decided, like, when well, I want to somehow prove that FrameUp could compete also on equal basis with the styles that are originally unique for the battlefield, that are originally designed for the battlefield. And I want to show that FrameUp is as good as them. So we can compete with them, we can win them, we can show them something that they haven't seen before. And for me, it's very important.
Wow, just the bravery to just come out there in the heels and stuff with the other styles and other urban styles. I imagine mostly that's crazy. But it's also so great to hear that you got positive like information from the judges, because what we hear from other people who go to like World of Dance and stuff, sometimes people are just like, "Ah, that's a no," and they don't even like try to understand and get it. So
Yeah.
this is a great sign, and it's I can see that that was really encouraging.
Yes, yes, it's so good to see that at least some of them are open, and it's amazing to see, honestly. Of course, there are always going to be people who are going to say that it's bullshit and it's not worth watching, but who cares? I mean, it's just their opinion, right?
Exactly. So what after that first battle? What next?
Yeah. After that battle, I realized that I'm missing something. I have more and more to work on, and I decided to come up with a specific plan because freestyle it's also a skill. So as any other skill, it should and can be developed, but you need to have a structure for this as well. So I decided that instead of just spontaneous trainings, maybe a bit of, I don't know, based on inspiration or something, I should come up with a structure. And I should create a plan for myself to equally grow my weak sides and also don't forget about the strong sides and make it stronger. So the most important like key takeaway from that was that I came out with a structured plan of how I want to grow. And then the next battles appeared. So I felt a bit better. And then it's kind of getting easier every time because you're getting more comfortable with environment. You're getting more comfortable with people standing at your heels. And at some point, it's even maybe enjoyable because you you kind of start to understand that, well, maybe it's not that bad that you're trying to introduce something new, something they haven't seen before. Maybe it's interesting. So we perceive it a bit more like a game in a sense.
Yeah. And that's a good point. And I have so many questions on how does one train that as a skill. But first of all, when was this first battle? How long ago was it?
The first one was, I believe, in March or April, somewhere in the spring.
Okay, this year. And
Yeah.
and I've seen you just now in Hanover, which was like a month ago or something. That's November. So 6 months. And I think it was really funny because I talked to Irina before and we were talking about battles. Are people applying and stuff? And she's like, yeah, but you know, some really good people are applying. And then I remember like in the afternoon, you showed up on classes and I'm like, okay, this stuff got really serious. Alina is here. And what I noticed, I mean, in the battles, first of all, when the rest of us were having downtime, you were still practicing on the side. You were still listening. You were still trying to improvise to everybody else's music, which is great because you're like getting into it. And then also your kind of response with your partner and stuff, that was also really obvious. I remember especially the battle you had with Julia. I thought that was really like a conversation. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah. So tell me a bit about what was your experience from your side when you were in Hanover now in November?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much. I'm really flattered. That battle was amazing because I felt community there. So it felt not like a competition where everyone are dying to kill each other or, I don't know, win or receive nothing. It was more like actually very supportive and like very nice environment. And I really appreciate this because in a competitive field such as battles, it's very easy to get into this competitive only mood and kind of lose yourself into this. Because if you are going to such competitions with this mindset of either win or not, it's very destructive for yourself. Because battles, especially like if you compare with the championships, for example, it's less predictable because you're freestyling and it's not a prepared choreo. So many factors can influence it. I don't know what you eat today, what is the moon cycle, how well you trained before, how much muscle pain you have, what music you have, because we all are kind of fond of different kind of music and we are used to different kind of music. So it's so many factors and every time it's different. Today you're having an amazing freestyle, best ever. Tomorrow you think that you're like doing very stupid things and not happy and satisfied with it at all. It's normal. Like I experience this every week. At some points I think like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Immediately after I'm like, oh my God, I should quit dancing at all. But of course it's not the case, but it kind of illustrates it well. So in Hanover, that was an amazing supportive community. Really enjoyed this. Also, for me, the main thing in a battle is dialogue because the core value here is that you're dancing, of course, for the judges, of course, for the audience, but first of all, you're dancing for your battle partner. It's always about dialogue. It's never about monologue. So it's important that you have this kind of connection. You can be the worst rivals ever, but you still have this connection. And there it felt indeed very nice that I saw in my battles, in the battles of other girls, that they were catching this connection, and it's very important.
I think it was a really nice experience. I mean, that was probably at least in like in Europe, first time that there was like FrameUp battles.
Yeah.
So I think that was also really cool. There've been jams around. I know people have organized jams, but not battles. So that was a great kind of experience. Again, as you said, it felt very supportive. It felt like, yeah, anybody can go out just to try it out and it'll be fine. So I think this is also, again, we're too small a community to be like at each other. So it's quite nice. Yeah.
And it was amazing to see how many people took part, because honestly, I expected less participants. And it was a very nice surprise that there were so many participants, and also the overall level was actually very high. So it actually gave a really like good vibes of strong competition. And I'm so happy to see this, because I hear this sometimes that people are scared of freestyle, of improvisation, that it's, of course, it feels a bit less secure, because if you're dancing someone's choreo or even your own choreo, it's less chances that you will lose control, so to say. And sometimes it's important to learn how to lose control.
And about that kind of, so you talked about you have structure and stuff, and there are different ways to improvise. I know when these battles in Hanover were approaching, I asked some people, so kind of what should I do? Should I have a routine that I then bust out to whatever random song and add some flavor? Should I just do what I'm used to? I mean, you also automatically kind of dip into all the choreos, and you kind of do something from a choreo you've done maybe a few months
Yeah.
ago. So what's your advice? What's your advice for people who want to get better improvisation? As you said, it's scary. Everybody, maybe you're at the end of the class, and then they're like, okay, but the last 30 seconds, I want you to improvise. And people are like, people just walk off. I mean, I've seen that in so many different
Yes.
styles, different classes. It's not just true for FrameUp. It's high heels, it's hip hop everywhere. So what would you say? If people want to start to get better, where should they start?
Every freestyle is based on experimental phase, and you experiment a lot with musicality, with your dance vocabulary. But in order to get this in order, it's essential to have a strong foundation. So some basic moves, basic transitions, it all gives you a solid background. So even if you don't know what to do, your body automatically knows to do if you did it already so many times. So I would say the first very important thing is a foundation. Then I would say there are two major ways how you can improve the freestyle. First is the dance vocabulary, and the second one is musicality. So for the dance vocabulary, mostly it's endless hours in the studio when you're struggling with the creation of new forms, new shapes, new transitions. And here it's important that you start with the exercises, because uh, I have a very strong belief that the greatest creativity comes from the greatest limitations. And for example, if I turn on the music for, let's say, 10 minutes and just tell you, freestyle, do whatever you do, most likely the person to whom I'm talking to would use certain patterns that are already in a body. We all have patterns, some of us more, some of us less. It's normal. But mostly, if it's complete freedom, you have too many options and it's hard to choose. So you probably just gonna repeat patterns that you have. But if I put a limitation on this, I don't know, let's say freestyle only with your right foot, then you do your patterns for 1 minute, for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes. Then you're simply bored of this, because it's the very same things that you're doing. And at this specific moment, your brain starts to think about new forms, new shapes, simply because you're bored. And it gives you way more field for the creativity. And I think that could be applied to every sphere, not only dancing. Like, for example, if you talk about software development, if you write software from scratch from the very beginning, you have so many technologies, so many tools, so many methodologies, frameworks, everything. It's so easy to get lost in this because everything seems so good, but at the same time, it's hard to choose. But if you have a certain limitations, like, I don't know, requirements, already written code, or anything else, you have way more freedom, but at the same time, it gives you more chances to actually find the most suitable solutions. And I believe this could be actually like expanded to all areas. So for the dance vocabulary, definitely the limitations, and also it's about the psychological safety. So you know that there is less chance to actually be mistaken in something if you have less surface for this mistake. So it's also easier.
Yeah.
And for the musicality, I would say it's all about the layers, because every music style has its own layers, and it's essential to form a music intuition so you can actually feel the music automatically. But it also takes time, a lot of hours of listening to music, actually digging into different layers of music. But it's very rewarding experience because when you start to hear all those layers, it's really fascinating.
I love the comparison to like software development. I've heard people who do different exercises like, oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 points of contact with the floor. You need to maintain them and other stuff. So some kind of controlled creativity, I guess, is a good expression for
Yeah.
this. Yeah, then you can get somewhere. What's important to say, and what you just said is this: you need to put in the hours. It's hard work. It's not, you're not gonna walk out and be, a genius. I think the more I'm in dance, the more I see it's, yes. So you have talented people, but the people who notice is the people that put in the work, and that also stands
Yeah.
out, the work you put in.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. To me, it's all about attitude because if you just want to dance for yourself to, I don't know, feel lighter, feel sexier, it's also good. It's fine, totally fine. But it's another goal. So if you're dancing for yourself just to feel good, it's one approach. If you dance to actually, I don't know, to achieve something, or you see a certain shape that you would like to get into, or you see a certain performance that you would like to express, to perform, but for example, you feel that you need more body control for it, for example, then it requires discipline. It requires a certain attitude. There are gonna be a lot of moments when you would like to give it up, but it's always important to remember why you're doing this. What's the actual end goal? And they could be different. We all are different, and those goals can be different. But it's just important not to forget your own one.
And through this whole process, did you have a mentor or somebody? Like, how do you know that you're keeping on track? Is it just also kind of making your plan and sticking to it?
Yeah, that's the hardest point, I would say, because I did some individual classes with dancers that I admire in terms of freestyle, so I could receive a guidance itself. But mostly, I'm trying to do it on my own because this way it's less chances that I kind of take someone's attitude or someone's signatures. So every freestyle dancer, or I would say every dancer in general, has its own signature moves, signatures in general. And it's important to have a good eye on other dancers to see what's happening in the field. But at the same time, it's very important not to lose yourself, because if you are copying, it's not cool, it's boring, it's not you, it's not honest. But if you just get an inspiration and somehow transform it into something that belongs to you, that's the actual deal, and that's interesting. So when I'm practicing freestyle, I'm very cautious about this part because I want to learn from other dancers as well, but at the same time I want to keep the authenticity of my dancing. So it's kind of sometimes hard, but I'm trying to combine this.
Yeah, that's a good point. But also, I mean, all the bodies are different. Sometimes you cannot just take a pattern and like slap it on how you move and how you do things as well. But
Sometimes I see people trying to do this, but it's very easy to distinguish, and it's no good. First of all, for yourself, because then you're not expressing your own authentic dance.
yeah, true. You've been also teaching improvisation classes, right?
Yeah.
So how does that go? How do people react, and how adventurous does it get?
Oh, it's my favorite type of the classes because I'm a huge fan of experiments, and we experiment a lot on this kind of classes. But I see a clear pattern that in 100% cases, freestyle classes get less people than choreo classes. And that's, to me, it's explainable because, as I mentioned before, I see that sometimes it's scary to begin freestyling. So the major goal for me is to create as much comfortable atmosphere as possible because we don't want additional stress, and I want my students to get used to the feelings that someone is watching them, but in more calm environments. So I would say the first step is freestyle classes, the second one is a jam, and the third one's a battle. So like from less stressful to more stressful. And on freestyle classes, we do different kind of exercises. Sometimes it's my own ones. Sometimes it's something I see in the internet and modify. Sometimes I adapt some techniques from other styles. For example, recently I took an exercise from the National Ballet and kind of transformed it into the flow work exercise. So every time it's different, and to me it's also interesting because I experiment together with them, and it's very pleasant to see how my students open different edges of dancing, how they become more confident. For me, that's the most rewarding thing.
Nice. You said you aim to make like a safe atmosphere. How do you achieve that?
Well, first, it's important to talk about this, of course. It's important to make sure that everyone are on the same page, that we're not judging, that we all are experimenting here, and that we want to support each other. We are not competitors here, we are just dancing for our own development, and we all are training. So, usually, if you're on a class and you think that everyone's staring at me like I'm dancing that bad, well, secret or not secret, mostly people look at themselves. So they probably think more about how they look and maybe have the very same thoughts as you. But usually we notice something that catches an eye. So we might notice a good dancer and say something to them like, yeah, was good. But most likely we just more into our own progress. And that's always important to remember that I would say in the most cases, unless it's, I don't know, some unhealthy environment, people don't look at others with intent to judge. Like, oh my God, look at them. Like, how bad are they? In most cases, that's definitely not the right attitude. And on my classes, I don't tolerate them. I mean, I never experienced this. I never saw such a behavior in my classes. But if it would be something like this, it's completely unacceptable. So maybe in this case, it's important to talk to this person to kind of find out why this attitude present, like what led to this, because most likely it's some unpleasant events in the past that led to this kind of attitude. But it's important that everyone understand that we're here to support each other, not to shame for trying something new.
You have your own style. So can you tell us a little bit about your own style? Because there is all this like different moves to musicality stuff. There are some jumps. There were some crazy jumps, like the one on your back. I think that video has been replayed quite a few times. Tell us a little bit about your own style.
Um, I think it's evolving. It's different every year. I can tell about the current state of things because I'm also curious about where are we going with this. At the moment, I would say it's quite dramatic. I love drama and dancing. I love dramatic false, expressive music. It's just my type of thing. Also, I'm a big fan of combinations of very soft feminine movements and very hard, very, let's say, in traditionally masculine movements. I'm a huge fan of mixing that up. And I believe it kind of reflects my personality because I would say in different fields of my life, I have to be both bold and assertive at the same time. Sometimes very empathical and tender. So it kind of resonates with me a lot. And in general, I love more more experimental type of music, maybe a bit non-typical ones. So sometimes I'm struggling with, for example, pop music industry because it's quite a common thing to do on jams and battles. And don't get me wrong, I love every kind of music, but something is, of course, closer to me. Something is a bit further. So I always try to seek something something that catches an eye, you know? Maybe some sounds, maybe some rhythmical sounds, but it should catch an eye in a certain way. So I love when music has a character. It doesn't matter what music style it is, but if you feel that it has a character, that would probably be the best kind of music for me.
Okay, so interesting music, interesting movements, and we talked a lot about improvisation and battle. So how does this all fall together when you make a choreography? How do you go around making choreographies when you have to stick to what you make?
Yeah. I usually make my choreos out of freestyle. So usually how I choreograph.
Surprise.
Yeah, very unexpected, right? um, so yeah, I usually, if I pick a song, I just play it like 10 times, let's say. And I do freestyle round after round several times. I record everything and then I analyze it a lot to see like what kind of the character it is, what music what moves suits this music better. So for me, it's easier to first of all has kind of like a big picture structure and then boil down to details. So there are of course various techniques how you could create a choreography, for example, like step by step or like from big to small or from separate pieces. So the one that I use the most is from big picture, like large sketches, and then towards smaller details.
Nice.
Mostly that's the major struggle for me when I do something during freestyle and then I can't repeat it. And I'm like, okay.
So that part is nice, but how do I get into that position, right? So it
Yeah,
fits the music.
yeah. Or how did I do this? Like, why this arm is here? Like, okay.
Yeah, it is troublesome like that. I mean, seeing how you freestyle, how you change stuff. Do you like the choreos then? Do you like want to change them immediately, or how does that go?
I love choreos in general. It has a big room in my heart. I would say I change it a couple of times after it's complete. For example, when I was getting ready for the World of Dance Championships last season, I created a choreo, and I think between the championships, I change it after every championship. So it's quite a few versions of it exists.
Yeah, but do you change like the feeling, or do you change just some moves, or?
I would say, yeah, moves and how the moves fit into the musicality. So sometimes I change the musicality, but most often I would change the vocabulary itself. Yeah.
And how would you compare being on the World of Dance stage versus going to battles and other things?
It's very interesting question. I would say that first of all, I feel more support in the battles. It might sound a bit weird because it seems like a bit more competitive environment there because everyone are in a tight circle, everyone are watching precisely what you're doing, so it might feel a bit closer to you. But at the same time, maybe it's just a good sample, but I overall felt quite a positive attitude all the time. And that was very important because the major thing at World of Dance that kind of got me that every performer in the upper divisions for like for solos, for duos, every performer who went on stage received almost zero support. And for me, that was so unexpected because when you watch videos from World of Dance or when you're watching teams, there's so much support. Like everyone is cheering, screaming, all good. And it's very important for a dancer who's on stage to feel this. But I've been to several World of Dance, and on each of them, there was a silence. And that was so unexpected. I mean, it's okay. You, as a professional, you have to work with silence. You have to know what to do, like how to remain confident, how to remain in the character. It's your like professional job to be done. But still, it was so unexpected. I didn't know that it would be like this.
Yeah, that's interesting. But okay, I have one more question about. I usually ask people some set of questions, and one of the first ones that I ask is boots or sandals. And then I've seen you dance a lot in sandals. I've seen you improvise in sandals in like the 9-inch sandals. And then now you mentioned like, oh, sometimes I end up in some positions how I don't know, and I'm like, this sounds super scary. How do you do it? How do you improvise in 9-inch sandals?
I would say both are good, both boots and sandals. But I would say boots still are a bit more stable. So if you're into jumps or acrobatics, the choice would be probably boots. But I really adore how feet look in sandals. It's so nice. I don't know. It's harder and harder to choose every time.
Yeah, I feel like boots have lost like their popularity in the last years, especially with the introduction of like the broken lines that the sandals can
Mm-hmm.
do. Now
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like just the nude sandals and yeah, and the 4 inches. That's yeah,
Yeah.
that's scary.
Oh, we
Um,
had a party recently here in Amsterdam, and there was a girl, a performer, who was walking on, I think, like 20-inch something. That was huge. After that, I thought like, okay, maybe we are all playing games here.
yeah, that's who knows where we are going in a few years. Nobody had 4 inches like 2 years ago, but now. So let's see where that goes. Who is your frame up dance icon or inspiration? Who is your thing?
I would say many. uh, I usually don't have one. It's very hard to choose because there are so many brilliant dancers. I have a lot of people who inspire me, some of them in their attitude, determination, others in their techniques, other in their character and how well they feel on stage. How, oh, the presence. Yes, the key point here is the presence. I would say in freestyle world, since we are talking mostly about freestyle, um, I really adore what Veronika Mishina is doing. Uh, she recently moved to Moscow from my hometown, from Tomsk, and now she's growing also a freestyle group there. And also Lera Mur, she lives in St. Petersburg, and what she does on battles, it's crazy. And sometimes when I'm looking at those girls and I see how it could be, and I see all those amazing events where a lot of heels, frame up dancers are taking part, it kind of gives me hope that if we keep pushing it here, it's gonna be not worse than there, maybe even better, even stronger. And it just takes time. But I'm pretty confident that at a certain point of time, we will have an amazing freestyle community here, like very large, very unique, a lot of dancers with their unique dance styles. And we already have this. It just needs to grow a little bit.
Yeah, again, it's a matter of events happening, people going there, and yeah, the encouragement, I guess, as well as it
Hmm.
goes. What is a favorite like project you have joined or a choreo that you have learned?
Oh, again, it's a very hard one because so many options. But I'm gonna tell you about the one that immediately popped up in my mind because probably that's the most right version in such questions. So the first thing that you think of, I would say it's Jan Ruslevich Intensive Choreo. A couple of years ago, I think, there was an intensive group for 1 week. We had several rehearsals, and there were around 10 people in this group. And we made a choreography, a bit of like fun one, on the techno music. Techno music is my favorite type of music. I'm a huge fan of techno culture in all the directions from hard and industrial techno to more light electronic music and house. And the funny thing is that I still didn't make a single choreography on techno music, but I hope this will change soon. Um, and so yeah, this group project, it was shoot in different locations, kind of industrial vibe, and it was so amazing because we built it in such short period of time. At the same time, the music was a perfect match with what resonates with me. And the girls was super sweet. I think we just got into a very nice, quick friendship, let's say so, during this week. And I still in contact with some of them. And the whole vibe just felt incredible.
Nice. That's a great story. And well, I asked you a little bit before, but do you have your own favorite choro, or do you?
Oof. Probably the old tape one, the one I posted a couple of months ago. It's a very personal one because it talks about friendship and about a period, quite a hard period in my life when I was a bit lost of in what I want and which direction to move. So a bit of crisis, let's say so. But after some time with my family and after a trip with my friends, I kind of realized which way I want to grow in, which path I should choose for myself. And this horror is about this. And also, it incorporates all my favorite signatures like drama, passion, a bit of chaos, a bit of control, all these contrasts. So, probably so far, that's my favorite one.
Nice. Describe FrameUp in one word. That's my personal favorite one.
I would say diversity because Frame Up is so different, so unique, and it keeps growing and developing. And I'm very excited to see where it goes and where we all will go, everyone with its own thing.
And I'll rephrase this one, but what's your most memorable moment from your battle experiences?
I definitely have one. So it was a small battle in Eindhoven, and it was a no-style one. I went into the semifinals, so it was top four of us, and that was the last battle before getting into the final round. And I was dancing against the guy who's an amazing breakdance dancer. Uh, he his was so good, and during this battle, for the first time in the whole experience of open style battles that I had, I felt this connection of dancing for each other. So at a certain point, I realized that he was dancing for me and I was dancing for him. Not even for judges, not for the audience, but for each other. And it made it so memorable for me. I don't know. I was under such a big impression, and we talked after a battle, and also discovered that he also loves techno music. I'm like, nice, and I kind of felt it because techno cultures, it's also a culture, and sometimes you can feel when person is from this culture or when it's not, and there the vibe was definitely this vibe. So that moment was so unique, and probably that moment I realized what it exactly means to be in a dialogue in a battle.
Nice. That sounds so cool. You should collaborate on something then together with the different styles.
I would
Too
love
technical.
to. I would love to. Honestly, it's been my dream for a long time to do a collaboration with a non-frame up dancer, someone from the street style culture, and I really hope it's gonna happen.
Nice. I look forward to that. Tell me a fun fact about yourself.
I was taking part in one technical conference. I'm also like speaking sometimes, like from time to time, on different technical subjects on the conference. I was in Milan on a tech conf, and MC before actually like introducing me to the audience, he also asked me the very same question. He asked me like, "Tell me some fun fact about yourself," and I'm like, "Oh, fun fact! Like, what should I tell?" And it's like a hall full of folks who are like deeply technical. I don't know, like, what should I tell? And I'm like, I'm a dancer. And that kind of set the tone for the whole presentation. He was like, yeah, are you wearing knee pads? Because I think knee pads are very important. I was like, yeah, of course. Like, safety first, yeah. And then he was introducing me, and he was like, yeah, like she's talking about security, and we all know that safety is important. So as she wears knee pads when she's dancing, she definitely knows about security. So now she can tell you about this. I'm like, okay. That's, I don't know if it's awkward or not, but it seems fine. Okay. But it was cute because it kind of sets a nice icebreaker for the first for the conversations.
He totally ad-libbed that one. Nice. So what are your plans? What's next?
I'm very excited about the new season because I definitely have plans on taking part in more battles. I definitely want more of this experience. So first and foremost, developing myself as a freestyle dancer. Also, we have a beautiful team here, FUST, founded by Anastasia, and we are taking part in competitions. So we have also team plans for the next season. And I have also a secret plan, a secret activity that I can't share yet, but it's going to happen in May. And I'm very, very excited about this. And probably we will start sharing soon. But now I like to keep it a bit of a mystery. But it's going to be a very important and very exciting for me. Kind of something that I'm putting my soul into. So I'm very nervous and very excited about it.
That sounds really exciting. I'll keep an eye out for that. Do you have any messages you still want to share and for the listeners? Anything else you'd like to share? Any motivational last words?
I would like to say that it's important to always remember why you do this. Because in competitive fields, it's so easy to lose yourself, to lose the initial goal that you had in mind, to soak into all these competitions, comparisons. There are so many beautiful dancers, so many talented dancers. And if you're going to compare yourself to each of them, then it's way to nothing. So I would say the most important message that I learned for myself in my journey, and I really want everyone to feel the same way, is that competition is pointless, but the sharing and exchange, that's indeed the thing that matters. Because if we talk about energy, something that takes out your battery or something that recharges you, I would say definitely exchange is something that recharges you. So we all might have different goals, and healthy competition is always good, but don't let it get deep into your head and so-called energy out of you. To me, that's the most important thing, because especially if it's important for you, if you actually love what you do, it's so easy to start taking it too personal. But it's important to always remember that we all do this because we love dancing, and that's the most important part.
Yeah, they're great words to end with. And I had a lot of fun talking to you about improvisation and balance and everything. I think it's also very important for people to realize that there is no mystery. You can go out there and try it. As you said, the community is supportive. It is an exchange of energy. It's a place to learn. So definitely, I'm looking forward to what happens next. I'm looking forward to hear more about you and your experiences on battles and everything. Thank you again for your time. It was great having you.
Thank you so much. I truly enjoyed this.